Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets Podcast Pioneer, with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Everybody, Carm Capriato, good to have you all here. We're going to do a great episode here with Chris Duffy. But before that, thank you so much for always being with us and hanging out and listening to our podcast and watching us on YouTube, because every podcast that we do has a video component to it. So we appreciate that. And please, and thank you again for everyone listening on the Aftermarket Radio Network and all the great shows we have for you there. Very interesting episode today. Chris Duffy is with us from AutoStream Car Care, and they've got 9 locations in Maryland. They're celebrating their 24th year. And if AutoStream sounds familiar to you, well, it should, because we've had Doug Grills on in the past and Rick Leviton, both owners. And of course, we've had their managing director, David Asquith, with us. And now Chris Duffy is joining us. And this is all about training, right, Chris?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, good sir.
We are happy to have you here. Okay, here's the deal. Big location, lots of technicians, lots of need for training. And they looked at you, Chris, and you've been around the horn, been in the bays. You've done a lot of great stuff for the company. And they say, hey, you're not doing anything else. Why don't you become our trainer? And tell me how that interview went. What happened?
Well, I mean, it came out around our 5th location, and I'd been with the company for a little while. We're working with some outsourced trainers. We had, Gary Smith prior, who was helping us out, but we really wanted to focus on, internal training and kind of grow from there, looking into apprenticeship programs and the growth of the company as we forecast our end goal. And not to spoil, we're actually on store number 10 now. It actually opens on the 6th. We're ramping up for that one right now, which is great. Obviously, with the tech shortage looming over everyone, it's always great to build your bench internally and grow from within. So, interviewing with that, they had the foresight to really want this position to be, the end all be all, where it's one of the techs as a tech, training techs. You could speak tech, but overall, I mean, it was pretty clear cut on their vision on what they wanted. So it was kind of like a shoe in, like, hey, do you want to do this? And I just fell right in.
You just said the magic words. Do you want to do this? And I have spoken to former technicians and former owners who said, I've always wanted to teach.
hmm
And there's this terrible thing out there that says, if you can't do, then you teach. And it's so wrong, because just like a golfer, just like a technician, just like a landscaper, this is what the best of the best, this is what they want to do. And because you've spent time in the bays and smelled your share of brake clean and breathed enough dirt and dust in your life, makes you one of the team. And I think it's brilliant that an internal candidate creams up and you want to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you present it that way. It just makes it more natural being part of the team, and I think it really goes back to our our culture as a company. We're not in it for ourselves. We're in it for the team. We're in it for the company, which is very important. And were there other candidates that could have done it? Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, at least a third of our techs, and I mean, we're pushing almost 40 technicians within the company now. We have some, I mean, cream of the crop guys. There's people out there with 25 ASEs, but does the shoe fit? Is that everybody likes to learn, everybody likes the passion and what they do, but can it be conveyed in layman's terms? Can it be thought about outside of the box in a way to teach it? And funny enough, I mean, I just got back from STX again. So I've been going there the past 4 years in vision. And it's great to see that side on how instructors, convey a class. It's easy for me to learn it. It's easy for an individual tech to pick it up and do it, because you're going to do it 90,000 times working on vehicles. But to be able to teach it and convey it in a way that can be easily learned, it takes a little bit of craft. So
It sure does. And that is, I'm so happy you said that, because I was going to ask you, when you go to training on your own, Not only are
Mhm.
you learning new things, but you're also looking at delivery methods. You're saying, I can do that, or I like this trainer. He came across to me so well. Can I pick up some of those great traits that they have? Or I'm going to go up and shake this person's hand, thank him for the class, and say, how long did it take you to get to this incredible flow of information? And to be the person in the front of the room that says, hey, I don't know everything here. So please stop me
Mhm.
and ask questions. And if I don't have the answers, I'll get them for you. And I think that could be, is that a blockage that a person like you had to accept the fact that even though these people look up to me, our team looks up to me, I don't have every answer for them.
I am straightforward, and I literally start off the class that way. You can't succeed unless you're humble about what you're doing, when it comes to this, right? Because like you said, not everybody knows everything, and it's the willingness to learn and evolve, which makes the difference. I'm sure you can appreciate in the STX and the Vision, like those big training expo formats. I mean, they're cramming in 16, 8 hours worth of information in like, 3.5 hours. So it's kind of like, hey, let's get the ball rolling. Let's cover all the big stuff, which is great. But like I'm sure you've ran into, not every hands-on demo goes right. There's always issues. You always run into problems. And just like anything that you do in life, you got to learn as you evolve. You got to learn as you grow. Seeing from where we were 4 years ago to where we are now is completely different, even internally, and how we've done the classes. Because as we've grown and spread throughout, the state that we're in, trying to get 36 guys in one location for a training day is sometimes difficult.
Well, and do you
So
try to do that all at once?
that's how we started. Yeah,
And
we
and
when we
now
were
you're
at five.
probably saying, let's do this in chunks.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, that's what it's kind of like a hybrid. So we actually incorporated today's class. We're in the beta on that
Oh,
right now.
beautiful.
Picked that up from you. So that's been working great. And that helps me evaluate a lot of the baseline and growth potential, at least on the subjects that they're a little gray on, because even if they want it or they want to admit it, they need it.
Okay, I got to stop you right there. First of all, thank you for the high five for today's class. They're great people, just great
Yep.
people. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you in a very
Mhm.
bad way was assessments. You could use today's class to figure out
Mhm.
what an assessment and what type of training that your people need, which I think is brilliant from that
Yep.
perspective. Because my question was going to be, which of all of my 36 or 40 technicians that I have need a specific training? Let's not just bring the whole team in and do this. Let's just find
Mhm.
the 8 or 9 people that need a specific level of
Yep.
training for a particular topic and just nail that, because I've got some people that out there that can come up and actually teach the class,
Mhm.
but our goal is to get everybody up to the same level or the same platform. So assessments, that's what I'm curious about. How do you know who needs it? Who puts their hands up and says, "Hey, Chris, I got to be in on this."
Oh, yeah. So we'll pause on the today's class side just because that makes it a little easy, which is great
Okay.
for the size that we're at now, right?
Yeah.
But prior, it was always the larger classes that I would set would be either seasonal or equipment based. So if I switched the whole company over to like a newer scan tool, so I'd have like a class like, hey, this is how you operate. These are the functions. These are the add-ons. So everybody's more comfortable with it. They get more hands-on time instead of just showing up to work one day and like new equipment's there and not know how to use it. That one's like, a shoe in. We try to have more seasonal ones where like, hey, AC season's coming. Let's make sure the equipment's good. Anybody who's a little flaky on it, we'll set some time aside or we'll have a larger class. But I mean, early on, it taking feedback from the director or the manager at the location, like, hey, I'm seeing some techs with troubles in this area. Or even in the beginning of this position, I did technician coverage with the training. So I'd be ground level at the locations side by side, wrenching with them, and you can get just a feel for the shop, which is great because that in person one on one training is always going to be the most effective, right? Past classroom, past online, all that kind of stuff. The one on one is always going to be the greatest. So that's what we've pushed into now. We have since the size of the company now, we have the TIF program, which we started, shoot, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that, which is well, we've gleaned it, but Technician Improvement Forum. So we
Nice.
try to have all of our A techs, which I know you want to probably talk about later, but our leads in the locations they come in, we have like a quarterly meeting and we discuss any shortcomings in the shop or anything that we would want to focus on throughout the year, whether it be training equipment, whatever the case may be. But I also use those members to train at that location. If I can't be there in
Ah,
person to do so, I have entrusted a lot of my lead teammates be like the extensions of me at the
got it.
locations because one guy can't be at 10 stores at one time.
No,
So
I agree. That's brilliant.
it's effective. I love it.
Is TIFF, Technician Improvement Forum, yours? Is it part of like Slack or something? How does that work?
It was something that Dave had prior to me coming, but I mean, there was very few members when I acquired the position, so I've kind of taken it and grown it past there. And I like a diverse cast within the group. I got young guys that hustle and want to grow and want to learn and are super eager. I got the veterans who, have been in this for 30 plus years and, just have that wisdom about them and the forecast on things that happen. And I have my heavy hitters that, ASE, Master Techs, L1s, EV certified, all that fun stuff. So I'd like to spread it out a little bit because, as time goes on and as you grow and as you evolve, I mean, you need to have a good cabinet, right? It's like being president. You got to get good info coming in to make a
I
decision.
l-
So
I gotta. That is a great analogy. Instead of it's
thank
my
you.
team, it's my cabinet. And they all have responsibilities. They're supposed to get back to me. They're supposed to
Mhm.
support the things that I want them to do. It really describes a stronger, smarter culture than it does a hierarchy, the cabinet.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yep.
So interesting. Okay, you got a great culture of learning. It's amazing. Your job, well, what's your exact title, Chris?
So production and training manager.
Production
Uh,
and training manager. Well, I like that production that leads that off. That's pretty clever.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that. Let's talk about production here in a little bit. But
Hmm.
I've always been on the show and talked about building training resumes for not only a technician to have it on his own in case they go somewhere and they says, hey, what kind of training have you had? Or on a personal basis, what have I taken? What do I need updating on? What's coming up that's new? Let me add a new topic to my resume, even though I haven't taken the class to manage their own. Are you doing class or resume building for your team so that when you look at these 40 technicians, you may go out and say, look it's been 5 years since we've done an advanced basic electric class. let's get let's get Gary in to do volt ohms and amps again for these 6 people. I mean, are
Yeah.
you building resumes?
Yeah, so we have I actually incorporated that into our like our trainual. I have like an employee section. I keep it hidden because obviously I don't want it massively shown. I don't like the ranking system, right? Which I mean, we've talked prior about that.
Yeah.
I'm in agreements on that one. I like keeping track of where people have been and the growth, at least within the company, of where they've attended, if they've requested. Because, like you said, you can circle back around to it and say, hey, it's been a while since we've done this. A lot of that stuff gets picked up in the seasonal. I mean, the AC, the cooling. I mean, the systems are pretty vast and they cover a large section. But like for instance, right now, I'm in the process of trying to build a CAN bus class for the higher end guys because we have oscilloscopes, we use oscilloscopes, but not everybody's as comfortable as they want to be with them. Obviously, with the technology coming down, it's going to be a necessity. So I'm in the process of building that right now.
Chris, you said I'm building that for the hiring guys. What did you mean by that?
Oh, higher end. I'm sorry,
Oh, the
higher end guy.
higher end
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, yeah.
Apologize. I
All
didn't get
good.
okay, now that makes more sense to me. All right.
But yeah, I mean, once that's done and I get a good format for it, I usually get with, those employees and I say, hey, just take a look at this, see if it's relative to what we need, relative to what you're looking for. And I'm always looking for the hands-on side because especially when you're like first generation doing this within the company, there's no road to walk, right? You're you're
Right.
you're building the
Yeah.
road as you go.
Yeah, you're creating it
So
as you go. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I've taken guys to AVI training classes like the HIV Biv down in Florida. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been out and about, but I almost feel like a ninja while I'm there. I'm trying to steal, all the good stuff that they got laying on the table and and taking pictures of part numbers. So that way I can bring it back,
Yeah. Would
because
you
it's
ever hire
beneficial.
someone? Would you ever hire someone on the outside to come in?
Yeah, we have in the past, and then we still use our relationships. So like Napa has a lot of classes
Yeah.
locally
Okay.
that we use. So yeah, yeah, we're
So
if
you're
there's
in
training that's
charge.
important.
I get all that. So you're in charge. If you will, you're the hovering guy, the production training guy.
Hmm.
But you're also saying, I've got resources all over the place. I've
Hmm.
got to make sure that my people are the best of the best. And you have resources that you can pick and pull from. So that's what you're doing is you're hovering over everything that's available. If you can
Hmm.
teach it, great. If someone in the shop can do it, great. If we've got to get in a car and a van and go to localized training from NAPA as an example, that's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because like I said, I mean, not one person knows everything, and the further you pull yourself out from the day to day, the harder it is to stay on top of it. So that's been my main focus. Is like, hey, like I'm still reading the newspapers. I mean, not the newspaper, the news articles on upcoming technologies. Obviously, the
Yeah.
outside training that I do, and try to keep my pulse on it. And being in the shop helps. I mean, I'm not completely removed from it. I'm just not working on the cars every day.
Hey, it's no secret. We're facing a technician shortage, and Napa Auto Care has a solution with the Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program. The program was pioneered by one of our own. Pete McNeil and Master Technician Jake Sorensen from McNeil's Auto Care in Sandy, Utah, realized that the problem of not having technicians available for hire was not going to solve itself and decided to take action and look at a different audience of individuals available for hire. A focus was put on younger individuals with the right passion, desire, and attitude to work in the automotive repair industry. Jake and Pete sought after these individuals and developed a technician apprentice program to give them the training needed to become a successful technician in today's world. The NAPA Auto Care Apprentice Program includes a comprehensive 9-stage curriculum that includes a variety of types of training, and they are classroom training videos exclusive to the apprentice program. Now, these videos provide in-depth training from a successful master technician. Also, Autotech classes with instructor-led courses offered through NAPA Autotech and Autotech e-learning. This web-based e-learning is designed to target specific training topics. And finally, hands-on learning. The apprentice will apply the skills gained from the classroom training videos, Autotech instructor-led training, and Autotech e-learnings in the shop with the guidance of a mentor. The apprentice program curriculum is competency-based, meaning an apprentice can move through each stage at a pace that best suits them. Most apprentices complete the program within 2 years. Upon completion, apprentices will have earned ASE G1, A4, A5, and AC certifications, adding industry validation to the skills an apprentice acquires. Look, having an apprentice in your shop will ultimately benefit your bottom line as they advance through the program. And in most cases, as the apprentice develops their skill set producing billable hours, you'll begin to see a growth in your gross profit by stage 5. One of the largest barriers to entry for individuals looking to enter the automotive repair industry is the cost of tools. Now, keep your apprentice motivated with an apprentice toolkit. Now, Napa Auto Care has worked with our supplying partners to offer an exclusive comprehensive tool set, including a 4-drawer tool cart for all registered apprentices. Hey, to learn more, members can visit member.napaautocare.com. I got to stop you for a moment, and that whole be in the shop thing was fascinating for me as one
Mhm.
of the important roles that you have to have because and of late, Chris, I've been talking about management by walking around, and you could call that management by being in the shop, right? And
Mhm.
open your eyes and open your ears and open your intuition to what's going on there. And just for a moment, forget about the fact that you have 40 people and to be 10 stores here soon. Anyone with one facility can be in the shop and pick up on what our people need as far as the training that a CEO of a business, an owner of a business, needs to get for his or her people. And I think that's brilliant. Be in the shop, no matter what your position is. I don't care if you're on the counter, if you're the CEO, you've just got to be in the shop. But for you, it's helped you design and figure out and stage training. Brilliant
Yeah,
stuff. I love it.
absolutely.
Okay, you have, and one other big thing that I see, and then I want to pick your brain on is The
Mhm.
culture of learning that exists in AutoStream, too many shop owners are out there saying, my people won't go to training. If you walked in, if I sat down with you at a meeting, this is, I'm here to learn and hopefully I can go back and teach my people because they won't go to class. What would you say to
Mm.
them?
Why? I mean, it's all about the employee themselves, right? And the why is so important because is it they're scared that they're going to be made felt less than because of that training area that they're in and not having the knowledge and feeling like they're lacking. Which I mean, we're a prideful class, you know what I mean? The technician, we have to know everything, and when we're proven wrong or we're shown that we don't know what we're doing, it does hurt because it's a craft and, everybody, I feel like for the most part, takes pride in it. And then the other half is you got the aged ones who feel like, "Hey, I know everything that I need to know, and I don't wanna go because it's a waste of time." And in that case, then it's like, "Hey, okay, cool." Then you just ask some clarifying questions. It's like, do you know how to use an oscilloscope? Do you know how to do CAN bus? Can you tell me CAN bus, right? And once they can't answer you, then it's like, okay, do you think we should go now, right? Not to put them down, but to just try to help them realize, like, look, 12 volts, 12 volts, 12 volts. But nowadays with this technology, and you're going to see it, and you're seeing it today, if you don't know it, you're going to damage stuff. You're going to break stuff. And you being a lead in the shop, you need to know this stuff. So yeah, I mean,
All
just
right.
asking why.
I love your angle of questioning without trying to hurt an ego. I get
Mhm.
it. And I
Yep.
think this is really profound advice. But how much of it is an individual owner saying, hey, we got to go to this class? As an example, NAPA's bringing in a CAN bus class in 3 Thursdays. It's an evening class. It starts at 6. Hey, boss, we've got baseball and soccer and ballet, and we got all these things going on in our family. Every night there's something that's orchestrated with the family, and I've got a birthday to go to, a wedding to, all these things that are going on. How much is that we are in so much respect of the hard work they bring us, realizing they actually have a life outside of work? Do you think that gets in the way?
I mean, life, it happens, right? We can't stop it. And I think at that point, that's when you would explore other angles, right? If they can't physically be to that training for whatever the case may be. Can I get a video recording of it? Can I get it online? Can I get them in a World Pack luncheon or a doorman lunch training? Take them out of the shop and let them do it. Because at the end, you're gonna recoup that cost tenfold sending them out, right? You might lose a day, but you're gonna gain it back tenfold.
Yeah, you're talking work-life balance and that the fact that we don't want to ask our people to go above and beyond, but to your great point, then let's carve out the hour, the 2, the early morning at 7 and watch this video and get it done. And oh, by the way, I've continued to learn to please turn on closed captioning when those are on. You're going to, if you've not heard our dyslexia episode that's coming up, and I'm not relating dyslexia to closed captioning, but that was a piece that for anyone to have a better intimacy with anything that they're watching, if it's a TV show or if it's training, turn on closed captioning. And I probably can't say that enough. Trainual
Mhm.
is a piece of software that you have. I mean, a lot of companies use them for policies, their policy books and everything. You
Yep.
use Trainual to put in every class you have. What is it specifically used for?
Anytime that I build PowerPoint that was covered in the class, I put that on there. We're moving into the recordings of them, so we
Okay.
haven't we haven't gotten that far yet, but at least the PowerPoints are on there. And then literally every piece of documentation that I get from Vision, STX, the bag of books that you come home with, I put them on there so that way at least internally we can use that as a resource or I can refer back to it during a class because with so much information coming in, it can get a little construed and jumbled up every once in a while. So having that as a reference is great. And then lastly, things that I pick up from third parties that worked out. For instance, we switched over to the Autel Ultra Maxis scan tools and Nissan CVT transmissions. I mean, I feel like everybody's doing 5 a week at this point, and we were calling outsourcing the programming. I found just late night YouTubing, watching car videos and information, found an individual who literally pre-programmed the transmission with the Autel in like a minute and 30 seconds. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Instead of charging 225 and waiting 2 days for a guy to come out and program this thing, we can do it in a minute and 30 seconds in house, take care of the customer. Everybody can benefit from it. So information like that goes straight up. And then we have Slack too. So I put an alert out like, hey, Training's been updated, blah, 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 blah. Check it out. And yeah, things work great hand in hand.
I love the tightness that Trainual and Slack gives you, the intimacy of a flow of information, and the fact that you care to the degree that everyone is willing to share. I'm sure that as soon as someone comes up with a really cool, neat technique that they
Hmm.
discovered themselves, or instead of shifting my weight left or right, however I want to lift this, I want to do this, I want to test that. Is this encouraged in the company?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody has, any information that would benefit the team as a whole, then yeah, we add it to the repertoire, which is the great thing. Because, like I said, I mean, as a company, I feel like we are amazing at helping one another and helping each other to succeed. And even back to the training, I have guys that are mad at me when they don't get to go, which is a great place to be in, after 4 years of, pushing and prodding to get to that point. But like I said, it all goes back to that individual, the why, and helping them as an individual to then be part of the group. Because, like you said, life happens. We have like a single father. He can't attend night or weekend classes. He's got to be with his son.
Hmm.
Well, we've offered to pay for daycare to help him out on that end, so that way he can attend, or even like company events. Hey, like we'll cover it, no big deal. We want you there with the team because you're part of the team. And that goes a long way to show our investment into them, so that way we get it in return.
I love that. Let that sink in. We're willing to do just about anything to be sure our people stay current and can get and go to training. Let's go back to your why. I love that. And I'm
Hmm.
starting to think deep about it. And if we ask the question, well, why don't you want to go to training? You may have to just shut up a little bit and just let the
Hmm.
person think that through and come up with it. You know what? I just don't want to be caught, on my back heels. Okay, great. We'll get over that. But there's also a why for the owner. There's a why.
Hmm.
Why don't you want to go to training? But why do I want and need to train you? And I think there's an opportunity to have a two-way why
Hmm.
conversation with people.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree. That's the crux of the question, right? You get an idea of what employee you're dealing with if they truly are a part of your culture and part of your team. And not to say you wanted to turn into a hailstorm afterwards where it's like, nobody wants to go to training, I'm firing everybody. But it literally it lets you know where you stand with your team. And again, I mean, I don't think we've had yet one employee to really push back so negatively that they didn't end up going or we couldn't make it work out. So
Well, being a perpetual student in life today with the way technology is coming at us is just one of the most critical things you can do. I don't care what field you're in. It just
mhm,
doesn't matter. There's so many different and unique ways of solving problems, fixing problems, understanding the flow of technology, and the things aren't the same. I've been working on this transmission for 10 years now, and all of a sudden no one told you that there's a new tolerance in the 2013 transmissions versus all the ones previous, and you can't get it to go forward. You can't get it to work because you've done the same thing that you always have, but you didn't know, because no one is putting up a billboard in your town that says, by the way, this transmission in this year, we changed a tolerance level on one of the sensors, and you're
yep.
it's so damn critical. Let's move into assessments, which I think is so critical.
Mhm.
And you talked about using today's class, knowing, and again, I think today's class could fill in this incredible void of really knowing where we've got to go for training for our people, because today's class is just not tossing up a cool little test question for your people. It's really giving you a dashboard that helps you really know what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. I think I think my favorite part of the program is not only does it ask you questions geared towards, ASEs and all that kind of stuff, the way that it's worded and laid out, but it also asks you how confident you are. which I feel like that's just like a whole another layer to the conversation because you could be confidently ignorant or shy and know it all, right? And it's just awesome to see that baseline of the employees. And then even I think we're on month two, at the end of month two on it right now. When we've seen a 12% increase in knowledge base, as they say. And even if there's goes back to the internal training portion, Ron will send me an email saying, "Hey, this employee had this, electrical module assigned to them because of how many times they failed questions in that section." Which then gears me up for like, okay, cool. Now I can incorporate this employee in this class, or hey, Napa's having one coming up, so I'll just throw them in that one. So I mean, the amount of depth that you get out of the program and the tracking is just I hadn't seen anything like it before.
How about the gamification side? Have you turned that on yet?
No, not yet.
You're
We
just in it a couple of months. We did it. We did an episode at Vision with David Boys, president of today's class, and the gamification. There was a study about that, and here's AJ Neely, the owner of this 5-store chain, saying, "I have to be first at all this stuff. I want to prove to my guys that I know this stuff." And I found that whole gamification piece for in AJ's particular case, and maybe for you someday, to be an exciting part of doing these assessments.
I mean, we definitely use it to trash talk. That's for sure. Because me and the area manager are on a team of our own just because we're not allocated to a location. And so we look at the rankings every day. So he'll text me, be like, hey, man, I got all four right. We're good. And then we'll go back and forth daily. But then we'll look at our full locations. And then, we'll be texting the managers and the directors, being like, how are we beating you? We're just two people, right? Just talking smack. But it's all in good fun because I think in the end, everybody's winning, which is great. But yeah, I'm gonna have to actually look back in there because Neely's right below us, which is funny. So I'll have to
Yeah,
look and see what everybody's got different nicknames on there, so I got to figure out which one they are.
yeah, I know.
See
Honestly,
if we're
but
beating
yeah,
them or not.
I know that. Yeah, I've just heard a lot of really cool, positive things on it. Okay, young people are going to be our future, and I'm
Mhm.
sure you've got a lot of young people in the company, and if not, you're constantly looking for young people, and I mean, could be out of college, could be stumbling in a career path some other place, and they find an incredible home at AutoStream. What are you doing to help them stick around? I think of training and I think of your position and I think of the culture at AutoStream as being such a dynamic for retention.
Mm.
Give me an idea. I mean, I know you have an apprentice program. You told me about that.
Mhm.
But this whole career path, I believe that if I came on board as a mechanical specialist and I want to grow to be a technology specialist, I really want to do the upper end stuff. I'm built for that. And I got to get there. Do you know that from people? And will you formulate specific training for them? Will you give them mentors? Explain to me career pathing at AutoStream.
Like a layered answer, at least from the way that the question was formatted. But with the individuals that are like already within the organization that have a desire to attempt another path within the automotive. So, like, let's say they just got out of the apprenticeship program and they're just like they're infatuated with like electrical, or hey, I really want to do AC work. Then we'll take that individual and I will try to find either like a group within the company who wants to do the same thing, and then we just do it in a smaller group. I try to keep it relative, like maybe like 8 people right
Right.
now, because any larger than that, then you got people stepping over people in bays and all that kind of crazy stuff. So we try to do it 8 or less, with usually the people coming in once they graduate from the apprenticeship program, or they come in with like a little bit of knowledge. We usually just start with the bases first because it's like, hey, I know you're eager and I know you want to do diagnostics, but we got to cover the basics first because if you got to have the groundwork done before you can build on it. So we usually start, hey, get your A4, get your A5. There's usually the easiest and the most common, I would say, in the industry. And then past that, once you've shown that you can, build upon yourself, you can put the effort in, you can train, then I usually either one-on-one with them on that subject matter that they want to attack, or I put them with a seasoned employee who is pretty much like a master in that, just so they get that day to day, like ground level. tips and tricks, all that good stuff. So I'm kind of blessed to have. I think I'm up to like 18 now. Like so, like a third of our well, yeah, I would say about a third of our employees. So a little less than that, but I mean, our ASE master techs. I mean, decorated. Got a lot of guys in a lot of different areas to tap on the shoulder and say, "Hey, it's gotten to the point now where they've shown that they can progress and move in this direction, and give them your full attention because I know they're not going to waste your time, and they're actually here to gleam off you." So
I love the word decorated.
you
I'm
can take
telling
it.
you.
You can take it.
I don't want to take it. I want our listener, what's the show all about? Listen to learn just one thing. There's a ton of drops here that people can learn from. But the word decorated, knowing that there's a master tech and we've got it's up on the wall, it's the patch on the shoulder. You think about a word decorated veteran. Think
Hmm.
about a decorated technology specialist, a decorated mechanical specialist, a decorated technician. It's amazing to stop and think how language and words can transform an idea, can transform an individual. And going to them, listen, you're an ASE decorated person,
Hmm.
and wear those patches proudly. And what are we doing internally to promote the fact that we have certified? If you like I was in the doctor's office the other day and I'm looking at all of this doctor's appointments, or I'm sorry, not appointments, all of their certifications or big diplomas
Yeah.
and all the signatures on it and the courses that they've done. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm in the right place.
Oh yeah, we love it. I mean, we absolutely love it. I mean, as a company, we all have uniforms, right? We have the swag, we have the hats, we have all that good stuff. I mean, we have our uniform and the patches. I mean, we have everything that you can get. I mean, if you have the ASC, you got it. If you have the L1, you got it. TIFF, you
Yeah.
got it. AAA, like you're decorated. The walls, like that's our mission. Like we want the walls filled with certifications because you're right. How much more confidence do you have in a shop that you're going to when you look at the wall and you're like, geez, like which one do I pick? It's not just like the lonely certification on the wall anymore. There could be 20 on the wall.
Yeah, and think about that, everyone. The culture of learning that goes on at AutoStream is a fight for prominence on the wall. It's the wall of I need to be there. I want to be there. You need me on that wall. You want me on that wall.
Oh yeah.
A
Oh yeah.
quote from A Few Good Men. There it is.
Yep.
Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
God. Chris, I had a blast talking to you. A lot of great stuff has come out of this thing. There are so many gems that have fallen off the tree, some really ripe fruit here for everyone to take back. Yeah, you're in an interesting position. 10 stores to be, 40 some technicians, a lead production training individual in the company. But there's so much to take away from a single store owner with even 3 technicians. The amazing work that you've done, and so has Doug and Rick and David in building this incredible training culture. It could be done no matter how big or how small the shop is. So thank you for sharing this and coming on and hearing about your passion to
Oh,
train your team and to just to be a leader of training in the company.
anytime. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad. If anything I've said mirrors, please take it, run with it. There could be no evil done in this category. So find a way and get it done. I love it.
Another great quote: "There can be no evil done in training." Chris Duffy, AutoStream Auto Care, production and training manager, specialist, all around nice guy. Thanks for being on, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.